Yeah, so the name of my talk is Who Fans Alone? And now fans is not a grammatically correct verb, but I think it sort of speaks for itself here. I'm really interested in how sport fans behave. And there's a lot of things about sport fans that are sort of irrational, right? If you're a true sport fan, a good sport fan, your team loses, you're still into it, right? We're still watching it. I know my team's gonna lose tonight, but I'm still gonna watch, right? Maybe we'll play better tonight. Maybe we have a better future. That we pronoun is so interesting in sports. Right? Of course, I have nothing to do with the team that's playing on the court unless I sit in the wrong seat or I wear the wrong jersey or I don't eat my pregame meal, right? Then of course, my superstition matters there. But sarcasm aside, there's a lot of really interesting behaviors that sport fans engage in that I find sort of worthy of studying and really important to better understand sport marketing in general. And so tonight I'm going to sort of talk about two opposite sides of a spectrum. On one hand, there are sport fans who sort of consume with others or they fan with others. They engage in tailgating groups at football games, or they go to a bar and watch with other people, or they attend with their friends and their family and their loved ones. So for them, watching sport, consuming sport is a social activity. That's what I spent really the first 8 or 9 years of my career studying. And then something really interesting happened almost by accident a couple of years ago. We were doing this project and we found this just unexpectedly large percentage of fans, there were WNBA fans in the study, that reported watching alone. And so when we asked them, like, hey, who do you talk to about your favorite team? They would say, no one. Who do you attend games with? They would say, no one. I have no one in my inner network that I can talk to about my favorite team. And so we called these fans ISO fans. They consume in isolation. They're sort of a fan by themselves. And that's a really interesting difference from that social fan, right? Who talks to others about the team and attends the game with others. And so with a few of my colleagues at UMass, we've spent the last few years trying to better understand what we call ISO fans, those who consume by themselves, a word that we call a duo fans, someone who consumes with just one other person, and then social fans. So sort of this three-tiered typology of sport fans. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is sort of the difference between people who consume with others, what we'll call social fans, and those who consume alone or those who fan alone, ISO fans. There's also a few key takeaways for me. One, I try to be really honest in this talk that the beginning of my career, I focused almost solely on these social fans who consume in groups. And I wrote things in papers and gave speeches about, every sport fan consumes with others. Sport fans are one big group of fans. And I found out that I think I'm wrong, or I think I was wrong, or what I used to think was so true and maybe so universal, I now realize, well, there's actually a lot of exceptions to it. And there's this whole other maybe market segment of people who consume alone. And so I sort of go through this honest process of maybe self-reflection and of being willing to admit that maybe I missed, maybe I was a little off, and now this new line of research is adding something new. And then the second part, and I'll talk about this, is about how to build that argument. And so, I found something that was different. I could post about it and shout about it and say it loud and proud until everyone agrees with me, or I could think about how to craft that argument. I could do a lot of smaller studies that build on it. And so I'm going to use this Lego metaphor tonight about really building an argument, and it will hopefully show the students how one study at a time, one fact at a time, one piece at a time, I've tried to build this kind of nice Lego set showing the importance of these ISO fans and duo fans in sport marketing. Finding something unexpected is the best. Whatever you're doing it in, you set up these studies, and as a scholar, right, as an academic, we spend a lot of time thinking about these study designs. And typically we have hypotheses before we go in. We think we're going to find this. And being willing to be open-minded and saying, hey, wait, this didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. And I did everything right, and if it turned out this way, maybe this is something I didn't know. Maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe there's a different process that I need to think about. It has rejuvenated my interest in this. I'm so happy that I sort of found this by accident. It has led me into really interesting directions. I've met some really interesting people and gotten to work on some interesting projects. So yeah, absolutely. I think being willing to admit that maybe I was wrong, maybe there's another way to do this. Maybe, the paper I wrote 10 years ago, I didn't know everything back then. and keep continuing to learn more and to add on is certainly how I stay excited about all of this.